Hello, I'm Marissa and welcome to my channel. On this channel, you'll find me discussing topics like intuition, spirituality, how to work with energy, our emotions, and other similar topics. In this video, I'm going to be discussing depression, and I'll be introducing the first step that you can take to become depression-free. While depression will teach us many different things, there is a progression, and it all starts with one thing that I'll be discussing later on in this video. But first, I want to provide a little bit of background about myself and my own journey with depression. So it was around my early 30s that I first kind of fell into major depression, and it lasted for several years. It's something that it's difficult to pinpoint exactly how long, because if you've experienced depression, you know there's kind of that gray area where it's okay, you might not even know it's necessarily happening until it's too late and you're just in it. And then there's that other period of time when you're working your way out of it, and so you're not quite free of it yet. And it can be kind of confusing. One day you might feel really good, and the next day you're kind of not feeling so good. And so it's this journey. One of the things I want to discuss is how to look at depression, because a lot of people will kind of just tend to think of depression as something that's, quote, bad, that you don't want to happen to you, or that you don't want to experience. And everything in life is a polarity, and that's just one end of the polarity. And if you're only thinking of depression in these narrow terms, and it's you got tunnel vision going on, and it's you'll have blinders, you won't be able to see the whole spectrum of what depression encompasses and how you can actually use it to work in your own life. In today's video, hopefully I'll be turning on a light bulb for some people just in terms of new ways to think about depression. One of the things that depression will definitely teach you is how to own your personal power. So, well, I believe that there's a lot in store for us with depression and what it has to offer. There's going to be things that are similar, but also different for people. But one thing that absolutely everybody is going to experience who goes through the depression is how to rise into and own your personal power. That is something that cannot be avoided. It is a fundamental component of what depression is. In case you haven't noticed by now, I think of depression in terms of spirituality and in terms of spiritual teachings and personal growth and personal transformation, and what is it that this great teacher is here to teach us? How can we work with it and use it to our advantage? Because like I said, everything is a polarity. So if we get stuck just thinking of depression as this completely negative thing, this dark thing, it's I don't want it, I want it to go away, then we're not going to be able to move through it very easily. It's going to be trying to pick our feet up out of the mud, and we're just not going to get anywhere very fast. However, if we're able to look at it as this teacher and say to ourselves okay, what is this teaching me? What can I learn from this? How can I use the lessons that are coming forward to move and to grow and to transform and to get into an even better place than I was before? If we think of it in those terms, we're going to move through it a whole lot quicker. I just invite you to keep that in mind as we discuss depression. Here I'm going to go ahead and introduce the first absolute fundamental thing for anybody going through depression. And it may sound obvious, but it may also sound funny if you haven't actually implemented this step yet. So basically, the very first thing that you're going to want to do when you're experiencing depression and you decide that you don't want to experience it anymore is you actually have to make that solid, unwavering decision. It is a choice. Nobody has the choice except for you. It is your choice, and a choice that you have to make in order to get the ball rolling, in order to get things moving, in order to start working your way out of depression. And the reason that this choice needs to be made, and this choice I view it as like the starting point. This is where everything grows from, arises from. It's this point right here where you have to make the firm decision that I am not going to need to be depressed any longer, that I am not going to live a life filled with depression, that I'm just simply not going to be depressed. It's not an option. That's personally what I had to do. I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out, why I was depressed, like wallowing in it, trying to like figure out like, how do I get out of this? How did I get into this? Like, there's a lot that goes through your mind. It's definitely like a mental game with depression. And I think that, a lot of times what we're doing when we're depressed is we're just kind of like hoping. We're sitting there hoping like, I hope this changes. I hope I find a solution. And I'm just going to do a quick spin off right there and say, there is no quick solution to depression. It doesn't exist. There is no magic, snap of the fingers, one simple little thing that we can do to become depression free. It doesn't work like that. The reason it doesn't work like that is because it's a process of transformation. And if we were able to just simply come right out of it, we wouldn't be experiencing something as momentous as depression, right? It wouldn't be this huge thing in our lives if we were meant to just simply come right out of it. And if we came right out of it, to be honest, we'd be missing the point entirely of all the beautiful lessons that it shows up to offer us. I will also say that if you are currently experiencing depression, I know that it can be very difficult from that perspective and that lens to see it as this thing that is actually offering gifts and positivity, because it definitely doesn't feel positive when you are depressed. But as somebody who has gone through the fire, so to speak, and come out the other end, it's like only with that hindsight that you're able to see everything that went into it and all the steps along your journey and kind of view it now from a neutral standpoint. So, that's just something that I'd like to mention. And going back to the step that I mentioned of making the choice, making the decision to become depression free, a lot of times we're sitting there hoping. We're like, in our own minds, it's like, I hope something will change. I hope somebody comes in and saves me. I hope that this goes away. And it's kind of like we're sitting there expecting the universe to just know what we want, expecting the universe to be like, oh yeah, she's hoping, he's hoping. But the universe doesn't work like that. The laws of the universe, they don't work like that. Hoping is a completely different energy and like energy form, like wavelength that you send out. Like, I hope this happens. I hope. Because when you're hoping, you don't know that it's going to happen. You're hoping it will happen, but you don't know. However, when you make the decision that you are not going to be depressed and there is no other option, that things have to and must change, that is sending out a very firm and different energy that says things will change. They have to change. And the universe has to respond and start sending things into your life, energy, information, people, etc., that are going to help promote this change. So that is the big starting point. If you have not made that unwavering declaration that things will change and you will not live a life being depressed, then that is the foundation point. That is where everything starts to change and the ball really starts to get rolling. So if you haven't done it already, after this video, make your firm, unwavering statement and declaration, and then you can't go back. Like, that is it. So whenever you start thinking like, I hope this is going to change, just go back to no, like, I've already decided and this is going to change. Period. End of sentence. End of story.